Warm welcome, everyone. Maybe we can quickly start now. Everyone, this is the part two orientation program that we are covering today. Let's quickly look at in terms of agenda what we are going to cover, since you all, many of you are like new to the session series. So here we will start with the quick introduction about myself. I'll be running you all through the overview of the CIA course. I'll be talking about what the steps towards the certification, what are the benefits of being an IA member, and what is the exam fee part-wise we need to pay? What is the registration process with IIA? What are the part-wise key topics that we cover in order to understand from a course structure standpoint of view? We'll talk about the CIA examination. We'll talk about how this course and in terms of what are the different service lines around which areas we touch upon throughout the course, which can be valuable in terms of what kind of services which we can give in our professional career. We'll talk about the study material, what is our approach towards the session series, and then we will keep the session open for Q&A. So that's precisely the agenda for today's session. People who have been part of this old session series, for some of you, it would be repetitive because we would have covered this in similar thing in part one and part three orientation program. So take a choice in terms of if you want to stick back or if you want to continue. The relatable topic for you would be largely in terms of what is the coverage of the session, which I would have generally covered as part of the part one, part three orientation programs as well. So take your call in if you want to stick around just to get refresh in terms of the course content, what we are going to cover, how we are going to cover and all. But for the new people, it is more for you because this is an orientation program, and for you, it is very important to understand what is this course all about. All right. So great, folks. So in terms of, so maybe we can start with a quick introduction. So everyone, I am Arpit Garg. I am a chartered accountant, a certified internal auditor, a certified risk management assurance professional with over a decade experience in this risk advisory domain. I am a partner and a co-founder of Riskman Consulting, which I incepted almost 3.5 years back. Before that, I had a stint with ENY, Genpact ERC, and I did my articles from Sani, Natarajan, and Behel. I have got uh, decently good experience in terms of the various service lines that we work on, be it enterprise risk management, third-party risk management, internal audits, IT risk management, SOC audits. So I have basically got engaged with multiple sort of experience, and for the last almost 2.5 years, I've been taking session on CIA. And probably I would have thought more than 500, 600 people on the subject by now. Probably I was the first person who started this teaching in India 2.5 years during the COVID times, and since then it's a way forward where I've been associated with the Vinod Gupta Learning Destination (VGLD), where you all have enrolled for the part-wise sessions, and I do challenge sessions with IA Bombay. So I'm the faculty with IA Bombay for IA Bombay chapter for the CIA challenge exam. So that's a very, very brief background about me and about my experience. And precisely, I am more into the industry. So when I say more into the industry, I've been working with multiple clients at the same time. So in terms of what is the market ask, what is the current demands, what kind of different engagements we can engage into, how we can truly add value is something, the key objective that I try to kind of share during the session series as well, that, okay, this is what you can focus on. Okay, and when we will be covering that slide, I'll be talking more about it in terms of when we do CIE, are we just referring to doing internal audits, or there are philauthera of services where we can actually help and guide organization and work on various different professional engagements. So the philauthera of multiple service lines gets open is something that we will be talking about. So folks, that's very brief in terms of about my experience, which I bring in all and share across in my session series. And from a course standpoint of view, if I have to all introduce you with this course, while you all would have enrolled and you would have done your research, let me just call it out this way, that CIA is the only globally recognized professional qualification for internal auditors. So as compared to any other course, be it CFP, which is Certified Fraud Examiner, be it CSA, or be it CPA, or be it Chartered Accountancy, or be it ACCA for that matter, right? So any other course, those are all different courses across different fields, those are being considered. But for internal audit domain, precisely the risk advisory domain, the risk assurance domain, whatever you want to call it, folks, this is the course that has been highly recognized. And for the last couple of years, especially with the kind of awareness that IA India has created, along with at a global level, the landscape, the way it has been changed in terms of governance, in terms of risk management being core focused areas at the CFO tables, I think this course is again and again rigorously adding value. And now, in fact, lot of demands is coming up in terms of this course, and especially from a global standpoint of view, this becomes a significantly important course if you want to take a footprint in a different global markets, be it Middle East, be it US, be it Canada, all of those markets. In fact, this is a highly globally recognized course. Um, in fact, as per the latest IA survey, most of the audit leaders believe that they would value a CIA certification over any CPA, CA, CSR, CFP certification for the internal audit profiles. So that's a very brief about the course, about the certification, folks. As I said, this is the most recognized course in the internal audit domain globally, and I think IA itself has more than 350,000 members from a internal audit profession who would have done this course globally from that point of view. All right. In terms of understanding, folks, this is all about the brief course. If we have to look at the process and step forward to enroll for this course, there is a basic entry requirement for this course, which means that you will have to have at least a bachelor degree, which means you can be just a graduate to enroll for this course. But um, then there is definitely an experience requirement towards your exit. Okay, so there is a 2 years experience, minimum experience requirement by the time you close. By the time by In order to get the certification, basically you have to submit a proof of experience, which should be either in internal audit or external audit or any kind of operational risk roles. Those kind of roles are, if you have done for 2 years of experience, that is where you can avail the certification. So you will have to submit your proof of experience, which can be certified by any one of your supervisor or any other IA member or any other CIA qualified person, right? So that's for an entry requirement, you have to be bachelor degree. Once you have enrolled for this course, you will have to complete the course within 3 years period. Okay, so we'll talk about it more further, folks. What I'm trying to say is, um, we have to apply for the certification. Once that certification application is submitted, that is where the 3 years countdown starts, of within which you have to clear it. In case you're not able to clear it in within 3 years period, on ground of hardships, let's say because of health issues, because of some family emergencies, because of some other, let's say, sometimes it's a maternity issue and stuff like that. If those are the reasons that has happened in one's personal career or personal life, in that case, a request and submission can be done to the IA Global. Subject to their approval, it can further be extended by 1 year at max. But generally, it is recommendable that one should do course within 3 years. It should not be delayed. Rather, it should be done within a year maximum. It should not be even kind of stretched for 3 years. You should even target to complete in 6, 7 months. There are people who have completed in 4, 4.5 months. But the course limit is for 3 years, basically from the day of enrollment for this course. All right. Uh, as I said, folks, proof of experience is an exit requirement. Um, Within this course is a completely MCQ based course, which means that you don't have to really learn, memorize stuff, other than the way we approach towards the classes. So you will have to understand the concepts. Each question has 4 MCQs in the examination. There's no negative marking, but it is slightly tougher in terms of the pass percentage. So if you see, in order to pass this examination, we have to score 80% and above. And if you see, precisely, there is only 33% globally, global pass percentage that we see. So total, if you see, 1/3 of the people who appear for the exam is the stats that is published by IA Global, that across the world, 33% of the people who appear for this exam clear it. So it's not very easy, because if you see, as compared to examination like CFP, as compared to examination like CISA, the pass percentage is much higher. For CFP, the pass percentage is roughly even 75%. The pass percentage for CISA is more than 50%. But as compared to CIA, it is much lower. So that brings its own value in terms of the quality of the course. So what I'm trying to say is, it's a little tougher course, but at the same time, it has its own value that way. Okay, coming back to folks, in terms of test, this course has to be attempted from the examination center, which means especially folks who are in India, you will have to mandatorily go to an examination center, which is your nearest Pearson View center, to appear for this exam. It is not a proctor-based exam where you can give from home itself. So you will have to go to the nearest Pearson View center to give this exam. Okay. Now, what happens is once you have applied for the course is when your 3 years period start. But after application of the course also, you will have to pay for the examination fee. So whenever you pay for the examination fee is when once you have paid the examination fee, folks, that is where within 180 days you will have to now appear for the exam also. Okay. So what is and I'll talk about the steps, right? I'll talk about the steps. Basically, the step one is you should ideally become a member of IIA India, and let's quickly discuss about it. The first step should be you should all become a IIA India member, and for that there is a cost which is basically 5,500, 4,000 as a cost for membership plus GST, and then there is a 1,500 as a first time member, new member cost for registration. So total 5,500 plus GST is what you need to pay. The purpose and the benefits of paying this membership is one, you become an IA India member. And that can be done from different chapters. So if you are in Bangalore, you can select Bangalore chapter. If you are in Delhi NCR, you can select Delhi chapter. If you are in Mumbai, you can select Mumbai chapter. If you are in Chennai, you can select Chennai chapter. So if you're in Kolkata, you can select Kolkata chapter. If you're in other tier 2 cities, in that case, you can select the nearest chapter wherever you frequently go. The idea and the benefits of enrolling with IA India is one one is that you will get a discounted fee for your CIA certification, or for that matter any other certification. Let's say if you in future want to plan to go for CRMA, in that case also there is a discounted fee for members. Okay. Beside that, I also conduct a lot of uh, voluntary sessions which are free of cost throughout the year. There are a lot of trainings. There are a lot of newsletters. There are a lot of magazines that gets published, which is here high rich content is there in terms of different knowledge stuff is there, which you can engage and you can meet and you can connect people to get your to get active and be active and participated in the from an India standpoint of view, or being a member, you will get all those emails, all those communications from IIA to be active, and you can participate and learn, engage through those different training sessions that happens. There are a lot of network meets that happens in different chapters. Every year there's an annual conference. There is an international conference that happens annually, right? So there are multiple conferences where you can always go visit, and then but those are done at some certain fees are paid, but that varies. Different chapters charges different fees, and then for members, it's definitely a discounted fee generally seen. All right. Abish, I'll take up the queries in some time. Please give me some time. Let me just quickly cover a couple of points, and then I'll take up the questions in a while. Please allow me some time. All right. So I hope everyone is clear. So the first step is application of membership with IA India. Once we have paid for this fee, that is where we receive the global membership, and generally it takes 1 to 2 weeks of time where we get a global membership. So even if you have applied for Bangalore chapter or Delhi chapter or Chennai chapter, it doesn't matter. You basically you are part of the IA India member. It's not like you're part of any specific chapter or there is significant difference out there, because all chapters work inconsistent with each other. And then second, second you get a membership from the global. It's not that IA India give you a membership. It comes from your global. So you're a global member of this institute. You are not just IA India or IA Bombay or IA Bangalore chapter member. You are basically a member of IA Global. So the global membership ID comes in. After that, you will have to create your profile in a CCMS account. So you will get a link which is called a Certification Candidate Management System, CCMS account, where you should update your profile in terms of proof of identity, where you will have to update your name, details, address, and support it with some identity proof, maybe passport, maybe voter ID, maybe driving license. Those documents are uploaded, and you will have to also upload proof of education. Proof of education as in your bachelor certification, your chartered accountancy certifications, any base certifications to kind of enroll for the course. So once your profile is approved, that is where you will have to register for the exam. And for that purpose, once you're registering for the exam is where you will make a fee payment that, okay, now I want to register for the exam. So once you have registered for the exam is your 3 years period gets start counted. Is that clear? So once you have applied the membership, it doesn't mean your cost gets started increase cost start get sorry your 3 years period start counting. Membership is an annual cost. Please take a note, folks. Membership is an annual cost. So you pay this year, you pay next year also, and the next year also. Every year you will have to pay, because you're a part of a member. Like being a chartered accountant, we are, like, let's say if I'm a chartered accountant, so I every year pay a ICI membership fee, right, to be an active member of the ICI fraternity. Likewise, to be an active member of IA fraternity, you will have to pay a annual membership fee that is being paid by all the members. So this is an annual fee. This is not a one-time fee. That's why if you see, it says for a new member, it's 5,500 plus GST. For renewal on an annual basis, it's at this point of time, it's 4,000 plus GST. Sometimes there's some minor discounts that is paid in case you are paying it before, let's say 31st of March is the renewal date. So if you pay before that, sometimes sometimes of the year, in few years, respective India, let's say India will give some discount. Again, it is very subjective and it all depends. So it's not that, but the basic fee is 4,000 plus GST currently. So as I said, so once you have paid the examination fee for the CIA course is when your 3 years period, 3 years period gets started, and you will have to complete the course in 3 years. Folks, within your CCMS account is also a Pearson View tab where you can click and then you can select the date. You will have to kind of make a fee payment for your course, and once you have made the fee payment, then you can schedule for the exam, and you can select any date to your nearest examination center. So you will see, okay, whatever Pearson View branch is near to your location, whatever location is nearby, you can look into that and then select a date of your choice. Generally you can get a date as close as, let's say, next week itself, right? So if you want to appear, let's say you're ready today, you can get enrolled for 3 days, 4 days, or maybe next day also. So it's not that it is very difficult to get the dates. Generally, you will see that the dates you will be easily able to achieve. There could be a timing issue. Maybe let's say you want to take a morning 8 o'clock slot, that may not be available, but maybe a 3 o'clock slot is available. So you will have to go to the Pearson Menu Center and kind of give this exam. Okay, so all of it you manage through your CCMS account. You update your profile, you register for the exam, make the fee payment for your respective examination, and then select the date all through the CCMS account. Folks, now let's look at in terms of what is the benefit of membership. As I said, one is the networking and the training and multiple activities that IAA does. Apart from this, there is a direct savings in terms of the certification. So if you're a member, you basically save roughly about $740 in completing the CIE certification as compared to a non-member. So if you see, for a non-member, the fee is $230 for application fee. Application fee for CIE course registration. But if you're an IA India member, then you will have to pay $86 only. For CIA Part 1, if you're a non-member, then you will have to pay $425. But for an IA India member, you will have to pay $221. Likewise, for Part 2, you will have to pay $199. For Part 3, you pay $199. So that's the difference and the cost savings that you get. Precisely $740 is what you save if you're a member. And that's why it's recommended, because 740 is good, almost like 57,000 rupees in INR amount, right? So so this is how you can save and you can become a member. As I said, the first fee payment that you will be making is $86 to register for the course. Once this is done, 3 years period start. And then once you have paid for $221, let's say you have paid at $221, now this is where your 180 days start. The day you have made the payment of Part 1, $221, within 180 days, you will have to mandatorily appear for the exam. Not clear the exam, mandatory appear for the exam. In case you have cleared it, very good. In case you have not cleared it, then you get a 30 days cooling period, which means that after 30 days only you can appear for the exam. How many number of attempts you can give? You can give n number of attempts. There is no stop on number of attempts, but the time period of 3 years is the key to kind of clear the exam. Okay, are we clear so far? I'll take a quick pause, folks. Are we clear so far? I'll be happy to take some queries at this moment. Yeah, please go ahead one by one. Just call out your name and please go ahead. Do we have any queries? Are you all with me? Can I quickly hear the word yes? Is everyone with me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right. Vish, you had some query, right?
Yeah, hi, Arpit.
Please go ahead.
Arpit, I just had a query related to CRMA because I am not sure that to attempt for a CRMA, do we need to have an active CIA
Yes,
uh,
yes. So one has to be a
okay.
CIA to become a CRMA. So earlier, almost like a couple of years back, CRMA was an independent certification course, not related to CIA, but there is a development that has happened in the last few years where only after clearing your CIA is when you can appear for CRMA. So CRMA is little advanced version of CIA, you can say. Clear? So, so the way it happens is,
Mhm.
I can quickly maybe also brief you. So, because I am myself a CRMA professional, the way it happens is, let's say for CIA course, for in CIA exam, how does it happen is, for each question you get or four options to appear, right? You will have to choose one which is correct. But in CRMA, the question pattern is slightly different. The content to a larger extent is similar to what we understand in CIA, maybe 60-70%. There is an incremental conceptual understanding that we need for about 30 odd percent for CRMA. But at the same time, the questions are slightly in a different pattern, which means the question, I'll give you an example. Most of the questions are on a theme that, okay, select all that apply. So let's say there are four options given, or maybe six options given, then you have to select all that apply. Let's say, I'll give you an example again. Let's say the examiner may say that, okay, what all of the above, or what all of the below are the examples of soft controls. So in CIA, you will have to choose one of four, but in CRM, you will have to choose out of four options, maybe one, two, or three, or maybe all four. So you will have to choose all four, and which may take time. The chances of errors are a little higher in CRMA because, let's say, even if you have choose two options correctly and one option incorrectly, then also your entire question goes wrong. Right. So there are case study based questions in CRMA as compared to CIA. So, but to answer your question, CIA, you will have to do it, and then only you can enroll for CRMA. Clear? Okay. Do we have any other questions? Yeah, please go ahead and answer.
Hi, Arpit. I have
Yeah,
two questions.
please go
So
ahead.
one is regarding the CIA part, the three different parts. Do I have to take it in any particular order,
Okay.
or is it like, that is number one. Secondly, you said there is like, say, suppose I don't clear in my first attempt that I've
Mm-hmm.
taken the exam. So
Yeah.
after 30 days, when I can take the exams again, do I have to pay the fee again, or how is it? These
Very
are the
good.
questions that I have.
Great, Manju. So good that you have asked me because I would have just now covered what is the course content of part one, part two, part three, and the pattern and all. But just to answer you at this same time, so one, I mean, from a course standpoint of view, the exam, the IA doesn't restrict you to go for any part at any given point of time. So you want to go for part three first, you can go for part three first. If you want to go for part two first, you can go for part two first. If you want to go for part one first, you can go for part one first. So um, the examination is not such structure that, okay, you will have to mandatorily complete part one and then part two and then part three. You can go for any part for that matter at any given point of time. Coming on to in terms of the way we do sessions, just to help you to understand, part one and part two are slightly relatable. Okay, so when we do part two, so we cover all that is relevant from part one first, and then we start with part two. So we clear our base. People who have already done, let's say, part one, for them to start, we directly start, let's say, part two directly. And for them, it is easy to pick because already their base is created. So people who join the session series, let's say you're coming for the first time and you're going to start with part two directly. So you may be having that thoughts that, okay, my base is not clear in terms of what would have been in the part one. So don't worry, whatever is relevant from a part one standpoint of view gets covered first. Maybe the first two sessions are covering the topic of the part one, which helps you to understand the base about the course. And then we pick it up to part two. So that's how the sessions are conducted. I hope that answers your first question. Is that clear?
Yes, Arpit. Thank you.
The second question is around the examination fee. The answer is yes. In case any student has failed the exam, it is required to repay the fee and then reappear for the exam. So yes, we'll have to pay the examination fee again.
Sure. Thank
All
you.
right. All right. Great. Do we have any other question so far? Anyone, please feel free to ask. Are we clear? All right.
Hi, Arpit.
Please go ahead, Chad.
Hi, Chahat this side. I just wanted to know more about the CCMS one. I have not received the global number as well. So, whom to reach out for that?
Great. So, Chahat, have you applied for the membership already?
Yes, I have already applied. It's been more than 1 month that I have applied, but I have not
Okay.
received anything till now.
So
I'm
maybe you
just
can,
mails coming from the CEO, I guess, from IIA about the webinar or something like that only. Nothing else.
Okay, so Chahat, what I can do is there is a IAA POC, basically point of contact, which is Chanchal Mishra. So maybe he would be part of the group. If not, I'll drop Chanchal Mishra's number on the WhatsApp group, who is very well an active person from IAA who help and support in all these activities from a membership standpoint of view. So you can reach out to him, and he should be able to support you with these queries in terms of why it is pending, but I think it should have received. I don't know why it has not received by now. If it is 1 month, you can check maybe your spam, junk folder, maybe it is lying there. But if not, then of course you can reach out to Chanchal, and he should be able to support you and resolve it. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think there's one question in terms of after 3 years again paid for registration. Santosh, in a way, yes. If your 3 years period gets expired, which means let's say you've cleared your part one, you've cleared your part two, but you're not cleared your third part. And let's say if your case has not been accepted for extension also for 1 year, in that case, the entire the benefit of the two parts itself will go on, it will get lost. So you will have to restart the course precisely. Okay, so it's important to clear the course in 3 years period. Okay. All right, great. Do we have any other question? Can we move forward? Are you
Hi,
all
Arpit.
good? Yeah,
Harshal this side.
please go ahead, Harshal.
Yeah. After how many days at the date of enrollment I need to appear for the exam? Actually, your voice is lagging at the time. I didn't hear.
Okay, is it for others also? Can others hear me loud and clear?
Yes.
Yes,
All
sir.
right.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So Harsha, just to respond to you, so once you have enrolled, as I said, so precisely if I go back on to simplify you, for you, once you have paid this $86, which is application fee for the course, CIE course, this is where your 3 years period gets started. Once you have paid fee for any part, let's say you have paid $199 for part two on 1st of November. In that case, your 180 days period gets started from 1st of November. So you will have to appear for that exam on 1st of, within that 180 days, within 6 months, you will have to appear. Now, some of you may ask that, okay, maybe I have to reschedule. Maybe I have, let's say, scheduled my exam for last week of December, or I have scheduled my exam for 15th of January. But I am unable to kind of, I'm still not prepared. Can I reschedule? The answer is yes, you can reschedule, but there is a cost of $75 for rescheduling, provided you try and reschedule 48 hours before your examination window. So let's say if you have an examination on 8 o'clock in the morning on 15th of January, then you will have to apply for reschedule by paying $75 before 8 o'clock on 13th of January. So you can apply for reschedule, but then, as I said, you will have to apply before 48 hours. I hope that was clear, Harsha, in terms of your time period that gets started. So 180 days get started once you've paid the examination fee for the respective part. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful. All
Hi,
right.
Arpit.
So
Yogendra
yeah, please,
here. I have a
please go ahead.
question.
Sure, please go ahead.
Yeah, so in the CCMS, we can see that there's a status expiration date, which basically
Mhm.
talks about,
Mhm.
till what time your registration is valid. So is that the 3 year period
That
till
is the
when?
3 year period. Yes, that is the
Okay.
3 year. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. All right, great. So maybe we can move forward just 1 second. All right, give me 1 second, please. All right. So let's move forward. Now let's try to understand about the concept and the coverage of the course content. And let's look at it, folks. We have three parts in the CIA course. The first part is essentials of internal auditing, which is basically the basics. Within the part one, we have 8 units to cover. So we have basically 8 chapters that we cover. Okay. We have these 8 chapters are spread across 6 sections. Section 1 is called Foundation of Internal Auditing. Section 2 is called is basically Independence and Objectivity. Section 3 is Understanding Proficiency, Due Professional Care. Section 4 is about understanding the QIP program. Section 5 is all about governance, risk management, and control. And Section 6 is about fraud risk. So basically, this is where we understand the basics and fundamentals of internal auditing. So we understand what are the standards, what is IPPR framework, what is code of ethics. Then we talk about key skill set in terms of proficiency. We talk about that, okay, we have to be careful on the job that we are doing in terms of understanding what is the essence of due professional care. Quality assurance improvement program is a very important topic. We learn things like internal audit charter. We understand different types of engagements that we do in terms of assurance, consulting, blended. We understand the core concepts like what is governance, what is risk management, what is control. And then we talk about the final unit, which is fraud risk and controls, which is part of the part 1. Now, since this is all about part 2 program, part 2 program is where at the
Hi,
beginning,
Arpit. Sorry, really sorry to disturb you in between. Are you sharing the PPT as well? Because it's been stuck on the steps to be certified, I guess.
good that you interrupted. Is that, can you all see
No,
this?
No, we can see
no, we
the
can see that.
screen.
Yeah, we can see.
You all can see the
Yeah.
screen, right? Right. Okay, great. Is
I
it
think
still?
it's my error only. I'm so sorry for disturbing you for that.
No worries, no worries. Okay. All right. Um, can we continue, folks? Yes? Chat,
Yes,
is it
please, sir.
better for you now? All right.
Yes.
Yes.
Great. So moving on to now, since everyone for part 2, because this is where we are now starting this batch. So part 2 is about practice of internal auditing. Part 2 is exactly that we do on ground, right? So it starts with the, so it has 10 chapters, total 10 units we have. Part 2 start with the first section where we understand how do we manage the internal audit activity as a function. So basically, okay, let me try and put it this way. Folks, this course is for all the levels, right? So this course is for all the levels, as in this certified internal audit course give a horizon to think through from a point of view what would even a chief audit executive will see, or what is the chief audit executive role in the company. Who is chief audit executive? Chief audit executive, folks, is the topmost position in the company for internal audit profile, right? So let's say you're director of internal auditing, let's say you're the chief internal audit head of the company, right? Or you're called as a chief audit executive. This is the topmost position who basically report to the audit committees or the board members of the company, is the topmost position. So basically, what we learn in the CIA course is right from understanding what is expected from the individual team members to what is expected out of a chief audit executive. So that's why this course plays a very, very important role as you move up in your career ladder also. Let's say you are at a position and then you have to eventually take those CAE roles in years to come, or let's say you're starting the course and then you have the base clarity in terms of your concept understanding, and then you want to reach out to those leaders. This course will always be helpful and be recognizable in that context. Okay, so let me talk about part 2 now again. So part 2 is where we, on the first section, is where you understand managing the employment activity, which is what are the CAE's role to how do they manage the employment activity as a function, is what we understand. And after that is all about, as I said, is what we exactly do. So we understand how do we prepare a risk-based audit plan. Once we have prepared a risk-based audit plan, how do we do kind of kick off on single engagement, which is where we do engagement planning, defining engagement objective, identifying engagement scope, doing a risk assessment. Uh, Once we have done all of that, performing the engagement in terms of how do we gather the information, analyzing the information, sampling, and then even analyzing, right? Supervision, all of that is what we understand. And then finally, once we have done the audit, once we have completed the audit, how do we communicate the results and then even do the follow-up? So exactly what we do practically as IA methodology, that, okay, we will first um, understand the process, we will then kind of share our requirements, then we will basically, once we have done the process walkthroughs, we'll understand what are the key risks. Accordingly, we will share the data requirement. Once we have shared the requirement, we will receive the data, we will self-extract the data, we'll analyze, we will do sampling, and then based on that, we'll validate, verify, perform engagement procedures, perform results, all of that that we practically do, publish the audit report. Exactly is what we're going to learn in part 2. It's purely a practical in terms of what we do practically in life if we are an internal auditor as part of the part 2 coverage. Folks, part 3 is where we talks about business knowledge for our internal auditing, where we understand concepts like business acumen, which is on the management theories. We have 2 sections from IT and information security, which means that everything related to cybersecurity, emerging trends, technologies, IoTs, in terms of information security, as in data analytics, big data analytics, um, uh, end user computing, cloud security, all of that is something that we understand as part of part 3, which is very critical from a futuristic solution standpoint, which is very critical for today's world where we understand IT and information security. And section 4 is all about financial management, where we understand the basics about the financial management, folks. What is net present value? What is zero-based budgeting? What is basically transfer pricing as a concept? So we understand the basics of it. So this is the whole um, course content, folks. So we start with basics. We get on to doing how do we do practice of employing, and then we also understand the management theories in terms of what is the leadership style of working, what is the managerial style of working, what is project management, and then we also understand what is section 2 and section 3 around the IT, information security, database related aspects, and finally the financial element. So the course is very, very comprehensive in terms of our understanding. It clearly call out and clarify in different aspects of the profession. Are we clear in terms of the coverage, everyone? Do we have any query?
No,
Yeah,
sir. Actually, I
wonderful.
have one question. As you said, the part one is the foundation of the course and is the basic of the CIA. So, as we are starting the part directly without the part one, so do we face any difficulty because we don't follow part one is we already miss out.
Right. Good, Abhinav, that you've asked. As I just said a couple of minutes back, you will not face that difficulty because in the first 2 sessions that we'll spend, we will be covering part 1 only. So it's not that we'll directly jump and start part 2. We will clear our base of part 1 first, as in whatever is required from part 1 is what we are going to cover first. We'll understand the basics. We'll understand some of the key things from part 1, and then we'll start the part 2. So the first initial 2 or maybe 3 or maybe 1, depending on the speed of the pace of how we pick it up, we will first cover the part 1 related content to create our base, and then we will move on to part 2. So it will not be a problem for people who are directly starting part 2. Okay, clear?
Understood.
Wonderful. Very good. So it's also covered practical aspects of IA. Suraj is asking, yes. Suraj, it covers definitely all practical aspects of IA. It talks about how an employed charter is prepared. He talks about, okay, how do you do engagement planning? It talks about how do you prepare a risk control matrix. It talks about how do you create process maps on Microsoft Visio. It talks about what are the different types of controls that we see, right? So it covers the practical aspects for sure. Not precisely in terms of how do you prepare an employment report, but what should be the content in the employment reports is also gets covered as part of the communications. Okay, as part of your competency, what are the key skill set that you should have as part of the course, right? So basically, as I said, in part of employment, whatever is possible is gets covered in the course. Okay, clear?
Yeah,
Wonderful.
I have one more question. So in overall, all three part one to three, do we cover any part of SOX control? Because I'm working as a SOX coordinator between my global team. So there any SOX part is covered and any one part one to three.
Abhinav, so yes. So see, we'll talk about it. Can you park that? Because the reason I'm saying is we'll talk about the different service lines where we can serve and how do we touch upon on the course. Because see, the course is not very specific to one domain, right? But the course have the coverage. In SOX, we talk about ITGC controls. In SOX, we talk about application controls. In SOX, we talk about process controls, right? PLCs. We talk about ELCs. We talk about ITGC. So our understanding on different types of controls is definitely covered as part of the course content. But SOX is just one of the framework, right? So likewise, we have multiple other frameworks. We have COBIT as a framework. We have COSO ERM as a framework. We have this COSO internal control as a framework. So we talk about on all of those frameworks as well. So it actually doesn't tell you, okay, how do you kind of document in terms of SOX? Or it doesn't get into that level of giving the SOX rules and regulations from a US standpoint of view, but it gives a context in terms of frameworks, internal control frameworks, what are the different types of controls. So anyone would be able to understand what are PLCs, what are ELCs, what are basically different financial assertions that we understand, right? What is completeness, what is accuracy, what is cutoff, what is valuation, on at what levels are these assertions levels are imposed. So all those are sort of covered, which create a very strong base. Clear?
Clear.
Nabil is saying content in part 3 is also double as compared to part 1. Nabil, good that you pointed. So part 3 content, besides the section 1 to section 3 is critical, which covers almost like 90% of the examination. Section 4 is where it is, the content is very high comparative to the weightage. So we have smarter ways of working, and people who come from financial background can easily pick it up. It's very few basic test questions are tested for part 3. So when we'll talk about part 3, we'll cover at that point of time. But just to answer, since you have mentioned, it is not a problem. So when you take revision lectures, Rituja is asking, Rituja, this is in which context? Because this is for a fresh course. So sorry, there's some disturbance at someone's end. Please keep yourself in mute. So Rituja, revision sessions we take after a gap of some time, provided we don't have the old revision sessions and we have a time gap. So only in that case, we take revision sessions where we want to help people to kind of relook at the course and clear it. So it's not that every time we'll have to take the revision session. There are past revision sessions recordings which we can leverage on. But let's say if it becomes old, we do sometime try and take the revision sessions. Okay. We have question from Varsha. She says that can I prepare for both part 1 from recorded videos and part 2 from live videos together? Yes, Varsha. If your time permits, you can definitely appear. I know a person who has, there are, let's say 16, 17 sessions of part 1. Within hardly 2 weeks, the person kind of studied through the recorded videos, and the third week, the person gave the paper and cleared it. So there are people, there is a person in the group who has cleared all 3 parts in 4 months time and never attended even one single live session. Always attended all the recorded videos, went, appeared, and cleared the exam. So it's on you all to kind of leverage the recordings. Recordings are self-sufficient. Whatever is we are talking is exactly is in the recording, and it's mostly participative sessions. So you should be able to gauge and you should be able to pick it up. So if your time permits, you can go ahead. Yogendra is saying, I have 2022 edition of part 2 and it only have 9 units. Is there a change in the content in 2023? Yogendra, not much, right? So even if you have the old content, it should not be a problem. I mean, it's just the split of the content that has been there. There is a minor addition in terms of the focus area from a competency standpoint of view, which is a separate document which gets shared during the session. So you don't have to worry. You can refer to the old content also. That should not be a problem. Okay. Anything else? Can I prepare for both the part? I think we have covered this. Is it clear for everyone? I think I have answered most of the question. So what about mock test? I'll cover about it. Shahad, don't worry. What is the approach of our session series? We have not talked about it yet. Okay, so I think I've answered most of the questions. Let's move forward. Okay. Now let's try to understand, folks. Let's try to understand in terms of the course content, right? So basically, if as you all see, the 10 units, we have talked about how many sections? We have total how many sections? Can you all say that? In part 2, how many sections we have? Total 4 sections. Can you all say that? How many sections
Yeah.
we have?
4
Four
Total
sections.
4 sections, right?
Four.
We have managing the employment activity, planning the engagement, which is engagement planning, performing the engagement, and then communicating engagement results and monitoring progress, right? So these are the 4 sections we have. So the 4 sections are split into these 10 units. So if you see, section 1 is mostly where we talk about internal audit operations. What are assurance engagements? What are financial, environmental, consulting engagements? So this is where we understand different types of engagements that we do. Then it talks about risk-based internal audit plan. How do we prepare a risk-based audit plan? This is where we also practically learn how do we actually prepare a risk-based audit plan for a company. Okay, and then we get into understanding how do we prepare an engagement plan? How do we assess the risk? How do we define the engagement objectives? How do we define the engagement scope? What are the engagement procedures? What are the different engagement procedures that we can apply? How a staffing can be done? What are the staffing when we are looking at staffing, that okay, these are the people who will work on the engagement. As a senior internal auditor or as a chief audit executive, what are the things that I should keep in mind? What is the importance of work program? Very, very important for the examination is work program. What is the importance of work program? Why it is being created? How it looks like is all that we covered. What are the different sources of information gathering? What are the different types of information? Sometimes we say that, okay, we have taken the information, but whether it's sufficient, whether it's reliable, right? Whether it's useful, all of that understanding of information attributes is also we understand during the sessions, folks. We talk about different types of sampling, statistical quality control charts. We talk about analysis. We talk about evaluation. We talk about documenting it. We talk about adequate supervision during the assignment. And then finally, we talk about communicating results and monitoring progress. So that's the breakup of the content, folks. For part 2, I will say everything is important. Nothing is less important. While during the session, we talk about more in detail that, okay, which are, sorry, there's some disturbance at someone's end. Could you please keep yourself on mute? Right. So during the exam, during the each content that we cover, we'll talk about it that, okay, within unit 1, what is more important? Within unit 2, what is more important, right? So precisely this is the content. If you see section 1 to unit 4 is 20% weightage, unit 5 to unit 9 is 60% weightage, and the last unit 10 alone itself is 20% weightage. Now you all can probably ask me, which means, does it mean that, okay, if the number of questions are 100 in the examination, which means 20 will come from this? The answer is yes or no. I mean, it could be yes, it could be no. So what does it mean? There is no defined percentage, folks. You may see 25 questions from this. You may see 55 questions from this. Or let's say you may see maybe 15 questions from this, or you may see 65 questions on this. So it's not that, okay, there's a fixed percentage. These are indicative in nature. And for that purpose, our concepts around all the topics is going to be very, very important. Are we clear in terms of what are the 10 units? Yes or no? In terms of the course content in detail? Yes or no? Yes.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
Yes.
Coming on to now into understanding, folks, the examination pattern. So if you see for part 1, we have 125 MCQs that are tested in the examination. For part 2 and part 3, there are 100 MCQs tested in the examination. We get basically 1.2 minutes for each MCQ. Precisely, we have total for 100 MCQs, which is for part 2 and part 3. We get, it's a 2-hour paper. Very easy, very simple, but you will have to be charged up for the 120 minutes, 2 hours. You will have to give your best shot. So it's within 2 hours you kind of give the exam, and as soon as you step out, you get the result also. So you get a result basically on a real-time basis. Once you've submitted, as soon as you step out from the Pearson U Center, they will give you the result then and there. You don't have to wait for a couple of days, couple of weeks to get your result. You will get it then and there. For the part 1, we get 2.5 hours. The number of questions are 125. Okay. There is no break in this 2 hours, folks. So you cannot take a scheduled break for go and drink water or take a bio break or whatever it is. You cannot take any break during the examination. You want to take, you're more than welcome. You can take a break, but as soon as you step out, you will have to follow the entire security process again, which will take at least 5 or 10 minutes of yours, right? So the break is generally not there. But let's say if you have a good speed and you have to take, you can probably take also. It's not a problem that you cannot take break at all, but not advisable unless you are in need of it. But honestly, when I have given this exam, I have taken the break because my speed was generally very good when I used to appear for the question. So I'm not saying that, okay, it is unachievable. There are people who have the speed to kind of do each questions very quickly, and then they get that buffer time. Even after that, they have some time to revise also. So it all depends on individual speed. But again, as I said, it is individual trait that the way one has to look, but there's no schedule break. If you're going to take a break, it will absorb you 5 to 7 minutes on the examination time itself. Part 2, as I said, 100 MCQs will come. There's no negative marking, but you have to score and answer for at least 80 plus questions in the examination. See, the best shot is we try to maximize to give the best score out there rather than thinking, okay, my 70 questions are correct, 80 questions are correct. The examiner, as I said, it's a 750 marks exam. All part are 750 marks exam, and you have to score above 600 and above to clear this exam. Folks, there is no direct correlation in terms of the in terms of the marks weightage for each question, which means that it doesn't mean that every question is 7.5 marks, because we are talking about 750 points. 100 questions means 7.5 marks for each question. Not necessary. I've seen people who have scored 596. I've seen people who have scored 597. I've seen people who have scored 599 also. Okay, so there are people. So this works basically on the scale of score, right? So there's no direct correlation, and you generally don't get even the results, as in where you have done wrong, what you have done correct, what you have done wrong. You don't get the answer sheets also. So only thing is what you get is, if you have not been able to clear, you will get the improvement areas, and then after 30 days you'll have to reappear and you'll have to try and clear this. This is how the exam is structured. Okay, are we clear in terms of what is the examination pattern, in terms of the number of hours for the exam, in terms of break, everything? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I'll take a pause here. Do we have any doubts on the examination pattern?
Take note to it.
All right, great. So let's now talk about the different types of services that we can do. Folks, this is an interesting slide to look at in terms of people who are in the profession, people who are aspiring to be in the profession. As I've already talked about the course, folks, these are the different service lines where we as internal auditor can play a different and significant role. Today, all of these, while the base is all about, let's say, starting with assurance in terms of internal audit, but today all that we are seeing on the screen are specialized services today. Internal audit in itself is a profile today that we see in companies and industries. SOX, as I think Abhinav's mentioned, or I think it was Abhinav you mentioned, right? For
Yes,
SOX profile,
yes,
yes.
yes.
SOX is in itself as a independent profile where people are just working on SOX related engagements for various companies. For people who don't know what is SOX, SOX is Sarbanes-Oxley. Uh, Basically, like in India, we have internal financial control that needs to be tested for companies as per the Companies Act requirement. SOX is a requirement for US companies precisely, but it's not just limited to US. Different countries have their own SOX frameworks in place. So like we have US SOX, we have Canada SOX, we have Japan SOX. UK is also coming with a white paper for the SOX practice. It is for having a better roles in terms of your financial controls, whether it's working effectively or not. There is a sign off that needs to be given by the auditors of the company, which is statutory auditors of the company, by the top management like CFO, CEO. They have to sign that, okay, my financial controls are working effectively or not. So that's the importance of SOX. Very, very stringent exercise. Um, this is where, as an employer, we can play a role. Internal financial controls, we'll talk about it. Due diligence engagements, fraud forensic related engagements, doing concurrent audits related engagements is where we can work on the assurance side of it. In terms of solutions, folks, today companies have their own enterprise risk management um, teams. Companies have a third-party risk management teams. Companies have IT risk management teams. Companies have control self-assessment teams. Companies have GRC, which is governance risk and compliance team. Companies have a separate anti-bribery, anti-corruption team, anti-money laundering team, credit risk team, ISO certification related to risk management, to information security, to TSACs. Talking about cybersecurity, digitization of different solutions, project management. These are all the areas where we as employers can work because we understand the business, we understand the risk, we understand the potential controls, what are the best ways of doing things. So this is where the profile enhances significantly. So, and this could be same from an industry standpoint of view, from a consulting standpoint of view as well. Likewise, and beside solutions, if we look at compliance, again, on the compliance side, we can look at GDPR compliance, which is General Data Protection Regulation, which is for the data privacy laws for European laws, European countries. Similarly, we have CCPA, which is California Consumer Privacy Act. We have ESG is a buzzword in today's world, which is environment, social governance, advisories, audits, tax, legal, and labor law related compliance. All of it, we can take a roles in terms of risk compliance also. Okay. And in terms of consulting, again, we can help companies develop the best of standard operating procedures, help them to advise on the intelligent automation, business excellence, business reengineering. Because we are closer to the business, we would have seen more businesses, we can consult on this. So this is the philosophy of services that we can do, and these are the different service domains that we work on. Folks, CIA as a course, when we do, it's not just talking about internal audit, while it is core part of it. As I said, we can take service lines and we can support on various service lines across the across verticals in this domain. Are we clear in terms of what is the kind of scope, what is the kind of service lines we can work on? And in all these cases, wherever you see, if you're an internal auditor, you will be given much more advantage and much more weightage as compared to any other person, because you would know what is enterprise risk management, you would know what is the risk, what is the control, who is responsible for what is forensic, you will know what are the different types of controls. So you will know even IT risk, you will understand what is cybersecurity, you will understand what are the different IT security controls. You will understand what are the best of frameworks in terms of cybersecurity, what are the best of frameworks for data privacy, what are the best of frameworks for enterprise risk management, your best of frameworks for IT governance framework, right? So you understand how do you do audits. So that is how your scope in terms of the different service lines can significantly increase. Are we clear on the slide, folks? Yes or no? Any doubts? I'll be happy to answer.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Great. All right. So moving on now to understand what is the way of kind of studying and what is the content that we cover. Folks, most of you would receive the printed books for each part. So if you've applied for software version, this is an arrangement that you'll have with yourself and VGLD. So you'll have to check with them. But the course book content of GLIM is being provided to each student. You will get access to GLIM software where we have the MCQs. There are total 900 plus MCQs. I think 1,000 plus MCQs. I think here it is written part 1, but there is 1,000 plus MCQs for part 2. You can practice questions unit wise, or you can apply across the units in the GLIM software. all the sessions that we do, including the orientation that we're doing today, is recorded and it is updated in the LMS system. Generally, it takes 24 to 48 hours after the session is completed. It gets uploaded in LMS system. You can see recordings as many times as you want. And in fact, it is recommended that you should see 2 or 3 times the recordings before you go for the examination, especially if you're less experienced. Let's say if you have good experience and you have attended the session carefully with good attention, I think maybe one more time of a recording quickly is recommended, because these sessions continues to happen like 3 to 4 hours in one go, and it's difficult to concentrate. I understand. So it's good that, okay, at least one time or more you have seen the recording. It will enhance your concept understanding. So, but all the sessions are recorded, and there is a LMS system access that is provided to each of your candidate. For all this, you will have to reach out to VGLD, and then VGLD team will give you the permission to or will give you the access to the LMS system, and you can look at the recordings. Okay, so folks, what we do is we refer to the GLIM content 100%. We look at the PPT slides, and we will talk about our approach towards the studies as well. So let's quickly see what is our approach. So clear perspective on what are we going to learn in the session. So we start with basically understanding what are we going to learn today. What are the key topics and key learnings that is going to be in the unit? We cover 100% GLIM study material. We focus on conceptual clarity. We understand even the practical side of it. How do we apply on field? Every session is concluded with things to remember, which means that, okay, what are the key takeaways? What are the key words that we need to remember for the examination? We revise each session as we begin the new session. So let's say we have completed a session on Saturday. Sunday morning when we start, we'll first revise the previous session, and then we'll begin the next session. We do MCQs right in the class. So I think there was one person, Chahat, I think you asked me what is the mock exam and what are the MCQs pattern, right? So every unit that we complete, folks, we practice some of the critical MCQs right in the class in a given time period. Let's say I have completed unit 1 and I'm going to give you 25 questions. So you appear within 25 into 1.2, which means you will have to appear all those questions right in the class for 30 minutes, within 30 minutes. And then after that, we discuss each MCQs, where we have done wrong, why we have done wrong, how we should apply our learning, what we have learned in the class on those questions. And then we also talk about how do we apply key things, key words that we have learned in the class in the session. How do we eliminate so that we avoid those errors during the examination? And we do a lot of Q&A sessions, like we are doing the session quite in terms of participative. We keep on the Q&A sessions that, okay, if anyone have any queries, people can throughout the session itself ask, rather than waiting 3 hours studying and then jotting it down. Throughout the session, people ask, we discuss, we deliberate, we share experience, and that's how the session stays participative. All right. Any doubts in terms of what is our approach, folks? I'll be happy to answer. Are we clear? Can I quickly hear the word yes? Is everyone with me?
Yes.
Vish, Vikas,
Yes, sir.
Varsha, Suraj, Shraddha.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
I have
Drishti,
one doubt.
please,
Along
Yes,
with
sir.
yeah. Sir,
please go
do
ahead.
we get any ebooks like PDF note something so that we can prepare for 50 hours in office somewhere even?
Abhinav, see, honestly, I'm not the right probably person who can answer this, that you will get the ebooks also or not. That depends on the package or kind of enrollment. I mean, you will have to check this with the VGLD team. But what I can say is all the PPT slides that we're using definitely gets uploaded on the LMS, and a lot of it would be in the PPT slide that we'll be covering throughout the sessions, which will have the critical aspects of the session series. So PPT slides that we refer to it in the class gets uploaded on the LMS. You will have access to it. But GLIM content, I think it doesn't get uploaded. But if it is part of your package, then I think it will be given. Otherwise, the printed books. So you will have to check this with VGLD team or your POC at VGLD.
Sure, sir.
All right. When are we likely to get our study material? Sorry, I said these questions. Sorry, I'll not be able to take, because I honestly don't have any visibility in terms of your enrollment, in terms of your enrollment dates, in terms of your conversation. So you'll have to take content related discussions, access to LMS related discussions, and even even for that matter, your IA related membership issues. You will have to take with VGLD and IA separately. I'll give you the contacts if you don't have. For IA, I'll give you Chanchal Mishra's number, and I'm sure for VGLD, you will have the respective POCs. Yugendra is saying, Things to remember is very important, is the key for success, I must say. Absolutely. I have my experiences during my part 3 examination. Wonderful. All right, great. Wonderful, folks. So now let's quickly look at look at folks. I know we have earlier planned for like 1 hour of the session, but we'll stretch for another 10 to 15 minutes to complete this. Are you all with me, folks? Can I quickly the word yes? Is everyone with me? Yes, Mohit,
Yes,
Yes,
Lakshmi,
sir.
Yes.
yes.
Harsha,
Yes.
Yes, sir,
wonderful.
Beth.
I probably
Yes.
asked multiple times throughout the session series, are you with me? Because I want you all to be with me. All right, so be with me for that. So as I said, folks, once we start this session series, I'm not getting into detail, but let's say these are quick screenshots and screen slides which we will discuss when we will begin the sessions also in more in detail. So part one, like when we'll start, even the part two will start with part one. We'll understand the foundations of employing. We'll understand what is IPPF framework. We'll talk about what are the code of ethical conduct. If you can see on the slides, generally every session that we start, we basically understand, okay, what are the key things that we are going to learn today? So basically, if you see on the slide, on these two slides, we see that, okay, today we are going to learn mission of implementing, what does IPPF contains, what are the 4 things that are part of mandatory guidance, what is definition, what is core principles, what are standards, what are code of ethics, all that is underlined is very, very important for the examination. So this is how we start, right? So each topic we basically cover that, okay, what are we going to learn today first? And in fact, once we conclude it, once we cover whole of the session, then we come back on the slide and we see, okay, now do we know what is mission? Now we know what is the keywords under the definition of interloiting. What are the 4 types of code of ethics that we've talked about? What are the different types of standards? What each standard mean? We kind of reflect back on our memory whether we know all these critical topics or not. So we start with what we are going to learn today. We understand them and we come back on the slide to see whether we have understood it or not, right? So that's the approach. Folks, we cover a lot of critical content and examples via slides. So these are some sample slides that are there on the videos. This is what I was talking about, that every session we end, we follow a ritual, folks, where I kind of read the non-underlined part and I request all the members to kind of read it loudly, right in the class, what are the keywords. So we remember that, okay, what is, let's say, the purpose of the internal activity? What is the keyword? Add value. Now, this keyword plays a very, very important role in the examination also. When we have 4 options, we'll have to look for these keywords to answer the right question, to answer the question correctly. So the keywords plays a very, very important role in the examination. Let's say if we feel that, okay, there are certain important things right in the session, we kind of highlight through different colors, different content, and we use these presentation slides. So as I just now said, Abhinav, so these slides gets uploaded. Okay, these slides gets uploaded as part of the LMS. So you can refer to these slides during the, let's say if you're working on through your laptops, you can refer to these slides. But the GLIM content, I'm not sure. That you will have to check with the respective POC. All right.
Sure.
So as I said, so if you all see, we cover different examples, summarized versions are covered through the slides. Now let's take an example. Now, once we have done the part one related concept understanding, this is where we'll start with part 2, and then we will start. Okay, in part 2, unit 1, we have these 5 year subunits, and then what are we going to learn in first subunit? We are going to learn these things, and second subunit, these are what we are going to learn. Out of all of this, if you see, this is underlined, which means this is very, very important for the examination. When is internal audit activity effectively managed? What are the key things that we need to remember for the examination? It's very, very important. This is probably a topic that would be repetitively asked in the examination. So we'll have to learn and remember it. What are the within the stakeholder relationship? How do we avoid conflict between a CEO and the audit committee? Right? What is that one key word that I need to remember? Is something are the key takeaways when we kind of go through the session series in detail. Okay, so these are the key learnings. Now, once you have, let's say, understood, we come back and see, okay, how do we avoid conflict between the CEO and the audit committee? We know that, okay, this is the keyword that I need to remember for the exam. When is the internal activity effectively managed? Okay, I know, okay, these are the parameters. If these are done, it means that the internal activity is effectively managed. This is the way we learn, folks. First, we'll have to question what are we going to learn? What are the key things we are going to learn? What is important in that? It's not that other than non-important, but these are very, very important. Okay, you can expect few questions around these topics which are underlined more importantly. Okay, so then basically we look at these aspects in each of those subunits, what are key important, and then we go through some of the slides, and then we go through the content in detail. GLIM content, we read word by word everything, and then we wind up the session with things to remember. So folks, this is the pattern of pattern of session series. And once we have gone through all of it, now we practice the MCQs. So we will share a Google form with you on the WhatsApp group. And once we have shared, you will, as I said, you will get a time window Once you have appeared for all those questions, you will get a score then and there, and then we will discuss each of these MCQs. So this is the whole effort in terms of the session series that we do, folks, and this is how we do our preparation for this examination of the CIO all throughout all the parts. I'll take a quick pause in terms of if you have any doubts here, I'll be happy to answer. So some of you are saying, sir, Yogendra is asking, sir, is it advisable to appear for part 1 first, then part 2, as there are overlapping topic in part 2? Although you have mentioned that the part 1 topics would be covered. No, not required, Yogendra. So let's say if you're coming for the first time and you have not done part 1, or you're not waiting for your part 1 sessions, my request is you can directly start for part 2. There's no problem in it, because as I said, the part 1, see, the basics are required. Basic understanding is required, which will any which is covered. And if let's say if there is something on the part 1, in part 2 also it will get repeat as part of the content. So in fact, for people who have cleared part 1, it is like a repeat content go through. Right, so it should not be a problem. You can directly continue to start with part 2 and continue your preparation on the part 2 irrespective of part 1. There are so many people who have cleared part 2 and are still awaiting to start part 1, or cleared part 2 and then went for part 1 exam. When the sessions were conducted for part 1, they have appeared for part 1 and cleared it. So that's not a problem. There are so many people who have appeared for part 3 first rather than part 1 and part 2, because they have at that point of time part 3 session series started, and now they are probably starting with part 2 and then maybe part 1. Okay, so that should not be a problem. So you can continue with part 2. Okay, right. So you can you yourself know, right? So you can see everyone. You yourself is saying that you're done with my part 3. So perfect then, right? So no worries. You can continue with the part 2. You can trust me that whatever is important will be covered right in the class. You don't have to go anything beyond what is in the class, folks. You can ask as many queries as you want from me. You don't have to study beyond what is covered in the class. In fact, in the class, we cover beyond what is in the claim. We cover MCQs, which is beyond the claim, right? So whatever is important will be covered in the class. So you all have to not worry about the content. Content is beyond what is required, okay? In terms of our understanding. What is relevant for exam, precisely what is relevant for exam. So that's all from my side, folks. I think we will be shortly sharing you the schedule for the session series now. I understand in terms of there are a lot of people. Okay, I think we have still some queries, but let me just cover the schedule portion. There are a lot of people who have requested the session series to be pushed, but we'll have to kind of look at um, the number of people who are going to be starting this. So I think probably next week, or maybe I mean, I will have to again check this with VGLD team to check with you all to start the session series. But we are good to go. We can start the session series at any point of time. So we will shortly be sharing the schedule. The schedule will be a morning schedule this time. So we'll be doing the session on Saturdays, Sundays between 7 in the morning to 10:30. So 3.5 hours class, 7 to 10:30 is what we are going to do. We'll have a scheduled break in between. Once we have gone through maybe 1.5 hours of the session, we will take a break. Depending on what topic we are covering, it's not like after 1 hour of a fixed time we take a break. It depends on the content, concept, technicality of it. Sometimes you even take 2 breaks. It depends on the concept and the sense of the conversations that we are having throughout the sessions. Mohit is asking how many sessions do we have for part 2? Part 2, Mohit, there's no fixed session, but estimatingly it would be roughly about between 16 to 17 sessions. Okay, so generally maybe between 16 to 18 rather, I would say. So some of the units we may cover in one go, some of the units we may take more time. Earlier the session series used to be 4 hours, then we used to do between 16 to 17 hours. This time we are reducing it by 30 minutes. So I think it may vary, right? It may vary between 17 to 18. It will depend on the how quickly and fast the class is also picking it up. So that's how we do. Okay, so that's how it is. All right. Sakshi is asking also, sir, I would request you to clear some technical words like process sampling in the course in future, as it will be difficult for me to process few industry related terms. Don't worry about that. Whatever is technical is something we are going to cover. All right. So I think I've covered all the I would ask, I think I've covered all the doubts. Do we have any other doubts? I'll be happy to answer. No, thank you for
Hi, sir.
All right. Yeah, please go ahead.
So I have 2 doubts I want to ask. First is whether there will be any calculating portions, for example, any quantitative portion in which we have to do the calculation in the complete course.
All right, that is, sorry, can you please call out your
Chahat.
name? All right, Chahat. So Chahat, only in the part 3, for the financial management section is where we kind of get some practical MCQs, which is very, very basic.
Okay, sir.
So very basic as in how do you calculate a contribution margin? So you know, okay, there is a number which is, let's say, 1 lakh as sales cost, 50,000 is variable cost. So 1 lakh minus 50,000 is 50,000 is contribution margin. That level of basic question can be asked.
Okay.
Or what quantity should be maximized to be produced in to get more profitability? So there are stats given, numbers given, and then you will have to apply basic maths.
Okay.
So nothing very difficult or major.
Nothing related to regression and coefficients types.
No, 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 not that level, not that level, right?
Okay, sir.
Arpit,
Uh,
Sir,
wish here.
just actually, I just have one doubt only. I'm sorry, I'm
Please go
disturbing
ahead.
in between. The thing is that I have an experience of more than 4 years in operation audit. That is into the AP department.
Mhm.
So that will count after if I'll
That will
complete the
call.
CIA.
That will count. No worries.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Right.
I'm done. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chad. Yeah, please go ahead, Vish.
Arpit, you mentioned that the classes would be in the early hours, if I'm not wrong.
Correct. This time we'll have the session series in the morning.
And starting from 7 to, I mean, how many hours are we planning? Because our shift starts somewhere around 9:30 or so. So I need to, you just
Good.
know how are we planning?
Vish, so the plan is to kind of do the session series in the morning, Saturday and Sunday only. So between, I'm yet to fix on the schedule, but mostly it would be between, let's say, 7 to 10:30 types.
Only on weekends.
Yeah, only on weekends. We don't do it on
Oh,
like other days. Yeah, right.
nice, nice. Okay,
Right.
then
So
it's
only
not a problem.
Saturday
Yeah.
and Sunday is what we will do morning, and it could be 7:30 to 10:30 also. It could be 7 to 10:30 also. I'll to fix the schedule basically.
Not a
Okay.
problem, not a
Yeah.
problem. Yeah.
All right. Suraj is asking, sir, is the combination
Yes,
of
sir.
on just 1 second, please. Let me just read this out. Sir, is the combination of online MBA finance and CIA is good or not? Suraj, see, it depends on what is the profile that you want to work on in your future. So if you're going to work in the internal audit risk advisory domain, CIA is, as I said, is a flagship course, which will be globally recognized. So MBA finance, if you're doing, see, MBA can work in different fields, right? So they can be into finance, core finance job. The MBA finance folks works even in the sales team of the company. So MBA is a very generic masters in terms of it's a master course, right? So what I'm trying to say is CIA is specific to a domain in terms of risk advisory. So that's where it is actually good if you want to work in this domain. Varsha is asking how many sessions do we have for part 2? Varsha, I've just cleared this. It depends on the speed of the batch, but otherwise it would be between 16 to 18 sessions that we'll be taking to cover this course. Right. Mindy is asking, so it will be good if we start with the sessions immediately. We'll try to and let you know about it. We'll be announcing the schedule shortly. Agreed, sir. Very basic questions asked from financial management section of part 3, but one catches latest relevant question. My suggestion would be focus more on IT section of part 3, from where most of the set question is. Very good, Yogen. Absolutely aligning to my thoughts. Yeah, please go ahead.
Hi, sir.
Um,
Anvi here.
Please, Anvi.
So can you share number of Chanchal ma'am? So there is some technical issue. So I have to.
No worries. Folks, just give me a second. Right away, I'm sharing Chanchal's number on the group. So here you all go. This is Chanchal Mishra. So Chanchal Mishra. All right. So I've shared you all on the WhatsApp group Chanchal's number. I hope you
Okay,
all
sir.
have
Thank
received it.
you. Yeah.
All right. Great. So do we have any other doubts? So are we good?
None as of now. Yep.
All right. Great. All right, folks. Thank you so much for joining this orientation program. I look forward to conduct these sessions with you all in the upcoming session schedule, and we pick it up from there. Thank you so much for joining and have a good day, good week ahead. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so
sir.
much.
Good luck, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.